So we're supposed to discuss our experience with data. So the first question is, how is data defined at my site? I'm not in the classroom anymore. Stepped out in June, but up till then, for the previous several years, pretty much data was defined at my site by the information that they provided to us from benchmark assessments, which led up to the STAR CST end of the year assessments. Um, uh, we were supposed to look at that and provide some reflection and feedback on how students were prepared for the CSTs, especially looking at the benchmarks, where they were prepared for the CSTs. We also would look at the CSTs each year. It was kind of an autopsy of what had happened the year before, because it was pretty much too late by the time we got the data, because it was the following year. I also looked at it myself. I actually broke it down further and deeper than what they provided me with by individual standard and by students and grouping students to be able to make sure that they were ready. I did my own assessments beyond the benchmarks, because the benchmarks really were not that formative, because by the time that we got the benchmark assessments, we had to move on. The amount of standards that are required in the state of California are so broad that you cannot have time to truly reteach and meet all of those standards. So pretty much by the time you get to the end of to a benchmark, it's pretty much a done deal. Again, it's autopsy assessments instead of formative assessments. But one of the things that I did for my students is that I would give them assessments, assessing the standards, to determine how well they were ready for the CSTs, and taking a look at the areas they were the weakest in, and then would find the time to reteach as best I could to make sure they were prepared. Because while standardized assessments are not the best thing in the world, they certainly should not be the only thing. They do inform a school and a district and even a teacher how well students are meeting as a whole. So pretty much why the data was used was to, are we meeting the CSTs? Are we meeting the standardized assessments that are required by NCLB, the No Child Left Behind, and other sorts of requirements? Definitely was a top-down mandate. We were required to look at the data, provide reflections and feedback. Not a lot of teachers were that interested in pursuing and diving into it. I was one of the teachers, because I understand the value of standardized assessments. While, again, if that's all you're doing is multiple choice standardized assessments, there is much to be criticized about that type of thing. It does provide a certain data set, at least at a certain point in time. It does provide a type of data set, and having it standardized is something that I do find has a value. I taught in a school district that has 74,000 students. That's a lot of students. And how is the district going to know whether or not students are achieving that data? Achieving those goals. So whether it was authentic, I think it was authentic in my classroom. There are other teachers at our school that also looked at that assessment data authentically, but not necessarily everyone. What can be used to improve it? Pretty much getting teachers to buy in and to understand there is a value in standardized assessment. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's not the best thing. We're not producing robots. We're not producing widgets. They're not stamped out of a cookie-cutter mold. But there is a set of data that can be looked at, and if you're going to compare students and compare how well students are achieving, it does need to be standardized. That's scientific method. You have to control those variables, and the only way you're going to do that is with standardized assessments. So being able to take a look at that, determine how well students achieve that data, that's an important thing.